Let's rock.
All right, everybody, we are back, and we just realized we're limited to 5 people on screen at the same time, so we're going to bring the different bootcamp instructors up one at a time, or a few of them at a time. To we just realized we're limited to 5 people on screen at the same time. So y'all might want to mute. Okay.
My apologies. I didn't realize. I'm sorry.
That's kind of. I'm not sure how. That's actually going to be to get through. That's going to be
interesting. Yes. I didn't realize.
That's kind of interesting. 1 second. You got your headphones working now, Judy? I'm sorry about that.
Yes. Yes. My apologies. I didn't realize. I'm sorry.
That's kind of okay. So basically, what the first group that we want to present here is a group from Drone Cadets, and they have created a program that allows you to learn how to fly drones and program drones. And I will just turn it over to Tony, if you don't mind going first, and then you can kind of pass it around, and I'll let you guys talk.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Tony Reed, Sergeant Reed here. Very happy to be here at this moment, right time. I got my partner here, Grace Cantwell. We got our partner, Judy Desiree, here as well. You know, drones are the most, man, how do you say it, right? Most disruptive technology around. So we want to do is be able to show kids of Black and brown, underrepresented communities exactly what it's like to be a drone pilot. Myself as a drone pilot, my team's drones. We teach from STEM, building, repair. You know, it's a very exciting field to get into. I'm happy to be able to be present with all of you today on this awesome Knackathon 2021. Grace, hand it off to you. You're muted, Grace.
I'm Grace Cantwell, and I'm a co-founder of Drone Cadets with Tony. And we are so excited to be here at Knackathon, and we've got a program that's starting tonight, and it's Eastern Time, 7 to 9, Central, 6 to 8, and it's a Drone Cadets boot camp. So I'm going to talk. The first thing is drone careers. We have a workforce development program that we are going to be discussing tonight and talking about what drones can do, especially the superhero drones of our day, and what they're evolving to do, and how jobs are going to be created and are being created that you can get. Then the second night, tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about, it's like drone flight school. So if you've never touched a drone before in your whole life, this is for you. If you touched a drone, say you've flown and you crashed, we all crash, this is for you. So we'll be getting you a really good taste of what the Drone Cadets program is all about. And then the third night, take it away, Judy.
Hi, I'm Judy Desiree, and the third night we're going to learn about how to use a drone in a simulator. I have some exciting interactive activity. Yes, I'm sorry, can you hear me? Okay, yes, exciting interactive activity for the third day to show how we can work the simulator.
It's okay, she's there.
How we can work the simulator and actually take a drone and fly it and test it in my apartment. So we'll check that out on the last day, on the 18th. Thanks.
And Judy, who's going to be flying the drone in your apartment again?
The students. Students who joined the bootcamp are going to learn how to create a simulator based on a restricted area, because I do live in a New York City apartment. I have high ceilings with low corners. So we're gonna learn how to fly in a tight area. And once you understand how to do that in the simulator, you will then take the simulator and try to fly in my room.
Yeah, and so one thing anyone watching this should kind of think about is, you know, there's a whole league related to this kind of stuff called drone racing, which I'm sure you guys can tell them a lot about. And so, you know, once you learn how to fly a drone, I mean, if you're kind of into that kind of thing, and flying drones is interesting for a number of reasons, including just, you know, leisure and fun, but also there's actually careers in this. I mean, everything from flying drones in the military to flying drones for photography and just all kinds of different things, you know, taking measurements and different things. But one really fun thing is just learning how to fly drones in like these drone racing leagues where they do competitions, and I think there's prizes and all kinds of crazy stuff, and you're flying through all these obstacles and indoor type drone flying. And so, their program teaches you how to fly the drones, and also I believe some of the programming around drones. And so correct me if I'm wrong, is there not some sort of certification or licensing that's required to fly a drone these days, or what?
Yes, you're definitely going to need your Part 107, all right, 14 CFR. You're definitely going to need that in order for you to actually make money, to actually be, if you want to be sustainable, But once you do attain that, I'm going to give you the ins and outs of exactly how I do, exactly what I've went through to actually attain other certifications so you could be more marketable, right? Because anyone can get a driver's license, right? Well, not anyone, but if anyone get a Part 107, right? But you want to be marketable, sustainable, and you want to be able to thrive in the business that you're going to be, the niche that you're going to choose. So, come back later. I'm going to give you the ins and outs, and then I'm going to touch on, the preventative side of drones as well, because that's a career that no one even talks about, right? Talk about drone detection.
Whoa.
I'm going to be here for all of that, all right? I'm going to be here for all of that.
Go down there. You got a little excited about the drones. He said, whoa.
A little slippage there, right? So make sure you come back and join us. It's going to be one fun, eventful, and informative event.
And with drones, anything can happen.
Yeah, so Drone Cadets is giving away some stuff, which I'll let them explain that to you later in the boot camp. And we're also giving away some drone goodies. So definitely check out the Drone Cadets boot camp. And so I really appreciate you guys coming and doing all this with us, and the boot camp and all the time it's taken to kind of organize all that. And I'll definitely chat with you guys and probably, connect with you later on this evening. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Roger that.
Thank you, Leroy. We feel like we're privileged to be here.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, let's bring a few more folks up here.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, let me see if we get everybody on the screen here.
Hey.
All right.
Hi, guys.
Well, I will let you guys, maybe starting with Alejandro, I'll let you guys just kind of go around and tell everybody about your boot camp, and I will just sit here and be quiet.
Absolutely. Well, welcome, everyone. Excited to be here. I will be leading the backend development bootcamp, where we will be working on building an API that could power a website like Yelp or the Yellow Pages, for example. We will be learning, some of you may or may know programming. I basically prepare a crash course on the 3 ingredients of backend development, that is databases, servers, and the API component at the end. And I'm excited to get you through that. On the first day, we'll learn all about databases. Where do we store data? We'll be looking at a database management system called PostgreSQL. We'll learn some code if you never touched SQL. My intention is to get you up to speed with the basics that you can do, like simple operations like adding data, getting data, updating data, etc. So the first session will be all about databases. How do you add? How do you retrieve? The second session will be how do we use a programming language, in this case JavaScript, to retrieve data using code, basically. Now, we will be using NPM and Node to do that alongside or in the JavaScript environment. And for session 3, we basically put all that together. We put databases with Node together to then create an API that will be able to serve businesses and business administrator users. Yeah, excited to be here again. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop in the Discord chat. Yeah. And I think I'll pass it over to Alex.
Hey, everybody. I'm Alex. I'm going to be doing the front end portion of the bootcamp, really walking you through a more intermediary size project using React. as a JavaScript framework. So what we really want to do is give you that familiarity with, not just the vanilla code, but, what are some of these tools that we use in the real world that really help us, build things very quickly in an organized way as teams. So we're going to be making your own quiz. So like that BuzzFeed style, like which Disney character are you? Like the demo that I'm going to show you is like which pizza topping are you? So I want you to have fun with it. I want you to make it your own. But a lot of the code behind it is going to work the same way. So we can learn some of the basic concepts that go into React, state management, basic interacting with basic data on the front end. Making it look okay. So I'm excited to help you guys through that. Our first night tonight is really going to be based around some of the basics of how to get those things started. I know everybody's kind of coming into this with a different level of familiarity with some of these tools like NPM and just getting a basic package set up and things like that. So we're going to go through some of those basics today, and then we'll go from there. So I'm excited to help you guys out and get through this together.
Anton.
All right, perfect. Hi, guys. My name is Anton Ehrman. I have over 15 years of experience working as a software developer and a technical lead. I have my own coding bootcamp called Ehrman Camp, and starting today, we're going to have 3 sessions, today, tomorrow, and Thursday. We're going to talk about mobile development, specifically using React Native. So we won't be flying drones, but we're going to have really cute-looking mobile apps. So within 3 days, we're going to create from scratch the mobile app that is going to show you the recipes. You will be able to search by recipes. For the first day, we're going just to do the skeleton work. The second day, we're going to apply some styling. And for the third day, we're going to make multiple screens. And we're going to work a lot with making sure that the code is looking good and the code is in the right place. So really excited to see you guys from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday. We should have a lot of fun. Thank you, Leroy.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for inviting.
I appreciate all you guys. So thank you, and I will connect with you later on this evening. We'll bring a couple of the other people up, and thank you for your time. All right, let's see if we can get a few more folks up here. 1 second. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I didn't realize they had this five people per. Whenever we're recording, because we're recording on the main stage, so people can come back and play it back. And whenever you're recording, I guess it's limited to 5.
Oh,
so
no.
I think Roy and Andrew. I'm not sure if Holly and John are here, but I'll let you go ahead and take over, and we'll see if anyone else comes up.
Okay. Andrew said that his camera's not working. Not. Oh, I think you're muted. Sorry. Okay.
You got the 2 machine learning beasts on the screen here. So let me let you guys.
Hi, my name is Yen, and I am a 4th-year PhD candidate at UCLA, and I'm in the bioengineering department. My work focuses on biomedical signal and image processing, so it has a lot to do with signal and image processing. And I got sidetracked for a second. And I mainly focus on developing algorithms, whether it be learning algorithms or just conventional parametric algorithms, and that's more based upon trying to process complex images. And so part of that comes with computer vision, and one of the methods for classification and segmentation is using deep learning. So basically, the courses will go for day 1. We'll go over the basic methods or tools for image processing, and day 2 will go into more of what a neural network is and convolutions. it'll be surface level. We won't go into backpropagation, but by day 3, you should have a working model for some machine learning algorithm that is able to classify the MNIST or the CFAR10 data.
Nice. Yeah. You want to tell a couple minutes about some of what you're doing? You're doing a PhD candidate, doing a lot of really, really specialized kind of computer vision work. I'm just kind of curious.
Sure. So I don't know if you have gotten an MRI, but it is a grayscale image, and sometimes the different there can be different artifacts in the image because of the different magnetic field, and you have different interactions with the electric with the magnetic field and other ferromagnetic substances. So what we do is post acquisition of the MRI images, we go in and we try to develop algorithms to fix the image. And so what I'm working on is segmenting different tissue matters in the brain of infants, and it's interesting. But yeah, I would definitely love to branch out and do more stuff on natural images as well.
So Roy, me and Roy have known each other for who knows how long now. And he actually finished a graduate certificate program at Stanford. I think he may actually be getting ready to enter a master's degree program there in artificial intelligence. And so I will let Roy explain his bootcamp.
All right, hi guys. So I'm not the person that's going to help you build a crazy advanced model like we just heard about. But really what I wanted to take folks through in my bootcamp is helping you take a AI model that either you develop or that you find available online. And there's lots and lots of models out there that are really good, have really good state-of-the-art performance on some common tasks, or give you a good starting point for a lot of the things that you might actually want to practically do, maybe in your hackathon app or in your business. And unfortunately, a lot of the deep learning and machine learning projects out there basically go as far as sort of like a Python proof of concept. Sometimes they go, there's a tool called Jupyter, and you'll learn a little bit about that in my lab. But you basically get to the point where you say, hey, this works really nicely. We've got good accuracy and really good performance on the model. But then it's kind of tough sometimes for people to translate that into something that you can put into production. In an actual corporate environment or an actual product. So what I'm going to do is really focus the first day on a little bit of theory around one way of doing natural language processing to look for similarities between different text. So I'm going to look a little bit at that. I'm going to look at some of the prerequisites that you're going to have to understand before we get into really the system side implementation. So we're going to look at, what does it mean for two pieces of text to be similar, and what, how do you actually represent that text as part of a machine learning model or part of an end-to-end machine learning pipeline. And then going from there, we'll actually show you how do you run that model. So take a, whatever machine learning model you've built or found online, how do you actually run that as a microservice that can be integrated into an application? And what this will do is it'll take you through a little bit around packaging things in Docker. It'll take you a little bit around the way that systems actually communicate with one another. So we'll talk a little bit about REST integrations and kind of how that works. And then finally, at the end of the day, we're going to integrate it into one example of a enterprise system called ServiceNow, which is something that a lot of the big companies out there have up and running in their environment. And it's just an example of, sort of a traditional legacy enterprise application, but how you can add some really cool advanced machine learning functionality into an application like that in really, a very short period of time. So that's going to be the focus. So a little bit of theory, a little bit of sort of data science in Jupyter. We'll take you through packaging things in Docker, and then actually integrating that into an enterprise app, all in about 3 days here.
3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So yeah, for anybody who, also Roy will be giving a talk on Thursday about a lot of what Deloitte, he works at Deloitte, has been at Deloitte for a long time, pretty high up in the food chain there. And And basically, Deloitte has undergone some evolution as a result of COVID, and I think now has kind of embraced this concept called digital teams, which is sort of a remote collaboration work style. And Roy will be giving a talk about that on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just mention as well, just because I covered a lot on the, what's going to be in the bootcamp prerequisites. Like if you know a little bit of JavaScript, a little bit of Python, even if you can just read JavaScript and read Python, that's kind of all it's going to take to get through the content. And yeah, so really you don't need to be an expert in machine learning. I'm basically going to come in and assume that you know addition and multiplication, and we'll go from there to having something up and running in production.
Well, appreciate it, Roy. And so John and Holly are running a UI UX boot camp, and Holly I don't think was able to make it. So John will explain a little bit about that boot camp, but they've got some pretty interesting stuff going on in the UI UX space.
Thank you, Leroy. It's really interesting to hear what everyone else is doing as well. So thanks to everyone else that's presenting. Yeah, I'm talking to Holly on this. She's very busy right now. She might be able to join in a little bit, but basically, our bootcamp is centered around user experience. It's user experience is kind of the end thing now. It's a pretty popular concept that has existed for a really long time. The term was coined in like the early 90s, like 92, 93 or so, maybe even earlier than that. But the concept of UX is, it goes back way earlier than that. It's something as broad as basically how comfortable your chair is right now, or how effective the cup that you're drinking out of is, or the pen that you're writing with is. When you pair that with UI, which is user interface, that's where kind of the explosion of popularity came from. I would say things like Apple have really made UX and UI kind of an everyday sort of occurrence, especially in the tech world, because now it's not just enough that your products and the websites that you use are usable, but now it actually there's a huge benefit to it, to those things being beautiful and easy to use and sort of things. Right now a 10-year-old can operate a smartphone, whereas 30 years ago we relied on a very small number of people to operate a giant computer in a small little closet or whatever it is. So the Holly and I, the boot camp that we're basically going to go through is, what is UX and how does it work? What's the design process? When someone says that they're a UX designer, that can mean 100 different things. There are UX designers that focus more on the research side of things. Then there are also UX designers that focus more on, making, graphics and visual designs and things like that. And then there are also UX designers that kind of do all parts of that process. So they might be part of smaller teams, but they start with the research and then go all the way up until the part where they're talking to developers and basically handing off designs to developers. So there's a lot that goes into it. It could mean a lot of different things, and it is kind of a confusing concept, especially when you're dealing with non-UX people, non-design people that may assume that a UX designer is someone that codes. That's not usually the case. Some of us do know bits and pieces of like JavaScript and things like that, although it's not essential. I think it is helpful to know things like HTML and CSS, but design has different concepts that are not exclusive to things that a developer would be doing. So that's basically it. It's going to be me and Holly. I'm a UX designer in New York, and I work for like a fintech company at the moment. And yeah, so that's it.
Nice. We appreciate it. Andrew.
Hi. Yes. Thanks for having me on. So I'm Andrew Wold. I will be running the full stack boot camp. I've been actually teaching at a bootcamp / coding university now for almost 5 years. It's been a while now. So we're going to be doing a little bit more of an open structure. We're going to be working with a Node, Express, Redis, React, and obviously HTML, CSS in there for styling. But we're going to start off day one with building an Express middleware server to Isolate yourself from an API. So for example, it looks like all the calls are coming from your website rather than the API you're currently working with, as well as being able to build out your own routes that you can control within your online site. Day 2, we're going to build a React front end. It's going to be sort of more of an open house, an open theme where I'll be there to assist because I want people to be able to take this wherever they want. So ideally, if you want to attend this bootcamp, you have some CSS knowledge. I'll instruct on all the React and stuff, but I'm going to leave the styling open so as not to control your final result. So hopefully you know at least some CSS and some styling, and I'll provide assistance. And then day 3, we're going to host all of that on Heroku so that you'll have a complete microservice full stack application going from API through the middleware through the end result.
All right. Well, I appreciate all of you. And I just wanted to give everybody here kind of an overview. We've had and Heather has been spending a lot of time, getting all the students invited in and so on. So they all filled up quite a bit. And but I appreciate everything. And I think she's going to reach out and make sure everybody has early access to kind of test around and learn how to work the moderator controls in there. But I appreciate everything. And I'll connect with you guys on Discord or otherwise here in a little bit. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So yeah, what we've tried to do here is put together a set of boot camps that can really provide you, whether you're a complete noob and newbie and you've never written a single line of CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, or you're more advanced and taken obviously computer science and have taken a whole lot of introduction to programming courses and maybe even some web development courses. And we try to put together a set of boot camps that can pretty much allow you to get some access to any part of this development sort of like process, whether it's UI UX and actually designing the app from using something like Figma to the slicing and building out of a user interface using a front end framework, because these days it's pretty rare that you'll find any kind of professional application, professionally built application that's just kind of hand coded in HTML, CSS, and core JavaScript. I mean, there's just too much code to write. And so usually you'll see the front end is built in some sort of JavaScript framework like Angular or React. Most of the time React these days, but Angular is still pretty big. And then the back end itself, is a lot of times written in, you still, you do have, back end, a lot of back end development still done in Java and .NET and Python, but more and more you're seeing a lot of these back end, built in Node.js. And so it's really, I think, important just to consider it kind of if you're doing a computer science degree, usually the first language you learn is C, and then maybe obviously some Java, and I would hope at some point schools will make JavaScript, and maybe a lot of them do, part of the core curriculum, so that by the time you graduate, you have both front end and back end, JavaScript sort of chops, and not just core JavaScript, but also a little bit of framework exposure. Front end framework being React, back end framework, being, something like a combination. It's essentially Node.js and say serverless, or Node.js and Express. Express here is really the framework, and Node.js is essentially a server-side JavaScript execution environment. And that came from Google created essentially a server-side JavaScript execution environment, which most of y'all know, called V8. And this was kind of a big evolutionary thing where prior to that, there may have been some other fumbling attempts at it, but JavaScript just basically ran in the browser. And so if you were building, if you're a full stack engineer, you might be doing a bunch of JavaScript stuff in the browser to do your form validation and kind of some server-side logic, client-side logic in the browser. But then you'd have to use a completely different language like Java or PHP or Python or something like that on the back end. And so that really just requires you to keep, your knowledge up to date on two different languages, and just completely different sort of skill sets. And so, I guess starting 2011, 12, 10, 12, especially, right around 12 or whatever is when I actually sort of moved from LAMP stack into full stack JavaScript. And I think right around that time is when it became real popular to do what are called single page apps or SPAs, where the index page loads once. And from that point on, as you're navigating around, little pieces of the page are sort of rendered, but you're not just constantly clicking, reloading the entire page and sending a request off to the server and reload. So single page apps that are basically rendered by client side framework like React and Angular became really popular starting around, say 2011, 12. And then also, Node.js was sort of created, and which allowed you to kind of extend your knowledge of JavaScript to the server side where you can actually use that single language, that single knowledge of that one language in both front and back end development. And so you can just keep on adding to your JavaScript knowledge, and it allows you to build front end and back end. And now, even with some of the talks you heard this morning, you can do mobile, desktop, all sorts of stuff. So basically JavaScript has become, the language of all languages. And if you learn JavaScript, you can probably build, anything, whether it's web app, mobile app, desktop app, smart TV apps. These smart TVs now, run on, a lot of them run on Android. And then obviously you can build React Native apps that run on Android. And so, you can build smart TV apps using JavaScript. And so JavaScript is really important for you to learn, and especially learning the frameworks that are really used in practical situations to build front end and back end. And so you'll see a lot of boot camps, everything from introductory web development, front end, full stack, back end, UI, UX, and then some other stuff, which is, kind of also important, because, more and more in the next few years, you're going to see applications that are, some little way or another, they're leveraging machine learning, and also in some way they're leveraging sort of blockchain. And so, you won't see any boot camps tonight on blockchain, but, you will hear some talks tomorrow by Near and Graph. And also, we're going to add a couple links. Near has a really good developer certification right now, pretty extensive, that will teach you how to build applications on Near. And Graph has some really good documentation on their site. And if you know GraphQL, which if you don't, you definitely should learn it. This is one of the newest ways to do APIs, where instead of you can just query it like you're querying a database, and you can essentially just query the API and get the data back, only the data back you need. But yeah, anyway, these boot camps, regardless of what sort of level you're on experience-wise, there should be something there that'll help you expand your knowledge, and just wanted to tell you a little bit about that. So we'll take a break for 30 minutes, and we'll be back with another speaker.